Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Chaliye, nice. Okay, so today, as we had promised, we will be discussing the framework, the philosophical framework of the Bhagavad Gita. Uh, the Bhagavad Gita is an enigmatic book. Everyone speaks about the Gita. It has become such a buzzword. But then, what is the essence of the Gita? What is the core message of the Gita? And what are the key philosophical concepts presented in the Gita? At the end of today's session, if, when you stick around, by the end of the today's session, you will have crystal clear clarity about what is the key message of the Gita, what are the core concepts presented in the Gita, and how does it relate to our life. Would it be an important, nice value addition to our life? If you agree, then type yes in the chat box. You can type Y or yes in the chat box. Let's get the chat box rolling. Okay. Okay, so let me share the screen. Wonderful, thank you. Let me share the screen. Okay. Some Okay, we'll begin with the context of how, what is the context of the Gita, and then we will proceed. Okay, so you can see the screen, right? Okay, so this is the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The war is about to begin, and in the backdrop of this battlefield, Krishna converts this battlefield into a classroom. So so Krishna converts the universe into a university. If our eyes and ears are open, every situation that happens to us has the potential to teach us some wonderful life lessons. So your education doesn't just stop with your school or college. Education actually can continue lifelong if we have the right mindset and the right open, eyes and ears to learn. So here you see Bhagavad Gita is being spoken by Krishna to Arjuna, two of the greatest world leaders. If you were to look at the Times of India or the Guardian or the New York Times of those days, then you would have news about not Trump or Obama or Putin. You would have news about Krishna and Arjun, the Pandavas and Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita is not a conversation between two laymen. It's a conversation between the world leaders, the universal leader Krishna and the global leader Arjun, right? So it is definitely a very significant conversation. And where was it spoken? It was spoken in the battlefield. Battlefield is a very, very interesting place. I would invite, if as many of you can keep your cameras on, that would really be uh, very interactive. So battlefield What is so significant about the battlefield? Number one, that death can strike at any time. That is such a critical thing about battlefield, that death can strike any time. And when you become conscious of the moment of death, right, then you go on a entire memory lane, considering that whatever you have done in life, was it really worth it? How did you spend your time all through your life? Was it really worth it? Many times when we we live as if that we are going to live forever, and in that conception we often end up doing things which aren't you know fulfilling, which we just live life as it comes without really going for a real purpose in life, and lead a meaningless life. But then when death strike, that's the time when you start thinking about meaning and purpose. Then that's the time you start evaluating that whatever you do, you don't want to do you want to invest your energies in something meaningful and purposeful, right? That's when you realize the value of time, and that's when you realize the value of your life. Hmm? So death makes you realize the value of your life. Hmm? So Bhagavad Gita is spoken on a battlefield where there's a life and death situation, and that's when you your life appears much more precious for you. And when life is precious for you, you want to invest it in the most worthiest purpose, right? So that is the battlefield, a place where there is high volatility and high stakes. So the world today is also like a battlefield. So there are so many wars going on, but there are trade wars going on, tariff wars going on. So the world today is more or less like a battlefield, and which makes it very, very pertinent for us uh, to actually look at the Bhagavad Gita for uh, because on a battlefield the emotions run very high, the stakes run very high, and Bhagavad Gita is a conversation which address this volatility of the battlefield. Then when was it spoken? Bhagavad Gita was spoken in a crisis situation when Arjuna was in a crisis. If Arjuna had given up at that point of time, that would have led to a major catastrophe, a global catastrophe where uh, if you want to rate Duryodhan in terms of his tyranny and in terms of his uh, dictatorship, then Hitler and Mussolini and all of these guys would appear like pygmies. Mm. So the Duryodhan was capable of creating much bigger concentration camps, right, than Hitler or Mussolini. So if Arjuna had backed off, then this dictatorial, very very tyrannical Duryodhan and his allies would have taken charge of the whole world, and there would have been many stories of Draupadis all over the world. So it was a crisis situation, and so Gita is not a casual book कि भाई गीता बोला नहीं बोला कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. Gita was spoken at a very very critical time of crisis, a time of urgency. Yes. So anytime you befall in a situation of crisis or urgency, emergency, Gita is a book which will help you overcome that crisis and urgency, because it is the backdrop and the background of Gita is crisis and urgency. And what is spoken is the highest philosophy of life, and why it is spoken to give vision and motivation to Arjun. And if you look at the entire self-help space, the entire self-help space where the entire space of YouTube industry, social media industry, a big chunk of that is vision, purpose, and motivation. People aren't feeling motivated. People are feeling um, you know discouraged, or not, they're feeling having that inferiority complex or lack of self-worth. So Bhagavad Gita actually gave that sense of self-worth and motivation to Arjun. It gave that vision to Arjun. So all of this background why we are discussing that we should not see that this is a casual conversation. This is a conversation which is very profound, at the same time very very pertinent. ये आपके और हमारे जीवन से बहुत जुड़ी हुई है कन्वर्सेशन। इसके लिए गीता को लाइफ मैनुअल बोला जाता है कि आपके और हमारे जीवन के डे टू डे सिचुएशंस के लिए हेल्पफुल है। मेनी टाइम्स पीपल से अरे गीता कब पढ़ना है, ओके यू नो व्हेन यू गेट रिटायर्ड दैट्स द टाइम यू पिक अप द गीता। नो, आप किसी जर्नी पे जाते हो, सो इफ यू गो ऑन अ जर्नी, व्हेन डू यू आस्क फॉर द मैप, व्हेन डू यू आस्क फॉर द रूट? आफ्टर ट्रैवलिंग 6 hours, after traveling 6 days, or after traveling 6 months, when do you ask the route or the map? Can someone type in the chat box or speak up?
Before starting the journey.
Huh?
Before starting the journey.
Before starting the journey, exactly, yes. So you look for the map before the journey starts. So Bhagavad Gita is your map of how to navigate life challenges. And आप अगर ऐसा कहते हैं कि भाई लाइफ के एंड में, जर्नी खत्म होने के समय पे हम मैप खोल के देखेंगे, then you might realize that you have come the wrong way, you have come down the wrong lane, isn't it? So therefore, this is the context. The context of the Gita is itself so revealing. It itself is so insightful, isn't it? अभी तो गीता खोला भी नहीं है, गीता के जस्ट कॉन्टेक्स्ट से हम अपने जीवन से इतने पैरेलल्स जोड़ सकते हैं कि भाई लाइफ इज मोर और लेस लाइक अ बैटलफील्ड, इन द सेंस दैट घर में बैटल्स हो रही है, बिजनेस में बैटल्स हो रही है, कंट्रीज के बीच में बैटल्स हो रही है. सो it's particular, it's pertinent, relevant, and then we often find ourselves ending up into crisis situations and difficult situations. So Gita does address that. Okay, so the question then arises is कि ठीक है, particularly what is in the Gita for me? So you see, Arjuna was going through a state of indecision. He wasn't able to decide what am I supposed to do. न च एतद् विद्मः कतरन्नो गरियो यद्वा जयेमा यदिवा न जयेयु. मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा है कृष्ण, मुझे क्या करना चाहिए, मुझे लड़ना चाहिए कि नहीं लड़ना चाहिए, मैं जीतूंगा वो अच्छा होगा कि मैं भाग जाऊंगा वो अच्छा होगा. हाँ, I am unable to decide and distinguish. So how many times do we encounter situations of decision fatigue? कि we have been thinking and overthinking and overthinking but unable to arrive at any conclusion. So agar indecision is a situation you are grappling with, then Gita is definitely relevant. Arjuna was also in a situation of indecision. Well, stress and depression, another big word today. So Arjuna was definitely in a great situation of stress. He was very much stressed out. And classical clinical symptoms of depression, such as drying up of the mouth, perspiration, limbs trembling, and your voice faltering, that you are losing your mind, all of those things, this lack of sense of orientation, his bow slipping from his hands. तो ये सब हमें लगता है कि ओके, this person is going through depression, poor thing, no? जब किसी और को हम सुनते हैं कि डिप्रेशन में भी से वो poor thing, they are going through depression. Well, Arjuna also went through depression in the sense of the symptoms, isn't it? So don't think that okay, this may not happen to us. So life can be very challenging, and if we don't have the right guide map, if we don't have the right mentors in life, then even a person like Arjun can feel so distressed and so much depressed. And so we should not make कि भाई कोई डिप्रेशन से जा रहा है तो बहुत बेचारे हैं, unfortunate. No, it can happen to anyone, but anyone can overcome it if they have the right guide maps in the right direction. So yes, indecision, stress, depression, temptations and addictions, is this a thing which which the world is looking for solutions today. Definitely, with so much of drug abuse and substance abuse and so many other types of problems of addictions. Arjun asks a question to Krishna. अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरसि पुरुषा अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियुक्तितः. वो कृष्णा, वो कौन सा बल है, कौन सा फोर्स है जो मुझसे न चाहते हुए भी पाप कर्म करवाता है, गलत काम है, मुझे पता है कि दिस इज आई शुड नॉट डू, दिस ऑब्सेशन इज नॉट गुड फॉर मी, दिस मोबाइल एडिक्शन, दिस substance addiction, this pornography addiction is not good, right? I'm just translating in today's times, but still people get sucked into that vortex. So Krishna answers that question for Arjuna, that kamesha krodesha rajoguna samudbhava. So yes, if we are looking for solutions to temptation and addictions, Gita has answers for you. Distraction, uh, there's a research which says that humans focus and ability to focus is even lower than a goldfish, which has its concentration span of 12 seconds. Humans concentration span has come down to 9 seconds only. So Krishna gives the sutras for focus in the 6th chapter of the Gita. Yato yato nischarati mana chanchalam astiram. So we see all of these things which we grapple with, midlife crisis or insecurity. These are things which Krishna, with Arjuna, went through, a sense of insecurity and feeling that there's no point of living further, but that got resolved. So this is all hope giving for us. Toxic attachments. Arjun had toxic attachments with the Kauravas, with the entire Kaurav clan. But then that toxic attachment wasn't leading him anywhere. So Krishna helped him develop some detachment, which was much needed. So overall, looking at this backdrop, that the Bhagavad Gita is spoken, in a context which is relevant for us, as we see here, and Bhagavad Gita is the some of the problems that we face through in life, they are also addressed in the Bhagavad Gita. This gives us confidence कि भाई इस बुक में कुछ तो है, ऐसे ही नहीं इसको इतना ब्रांड किया गया, right? Yes, if you agree with me, you can write yes or why in the chat box. Okay, so now that we have discussed, thank you for all of your enthusiastic responses and participation. Yes, definitely we all agree with this context that है कुछ तो इस बुक में है कि इससे हमारी प्रॉब्लम्स के सॉल्यूशंस हो रहे हैं, लेकिन ऐसा क्या है, इस बुक का मैसेज क्या है? वुड यू बी इंटरेस्टेड टू नो व्हाट इज द मैसेज गिवन इन द बुक, व्हाट इज द एसेंस ऑफ द बुक? बहुत सारे लोग बहुत सारी चीजें बोलते हैं, गीता का जो एसेंस है या गीता का सार है वो क्या है, जो हुआ अच्छा हुआ, जो होगा अच्छे के लिए होगा, ऐसा करके लोग बोलते हैं भाई गीता का सार है ये, और बड़े बड़े पोस्टर लगा के छाप के लगा देते हैं। पर अगर ऐसा सार होता, जिस किसी ने भी कहा है उनको प्रणाम, लेकिन लेट अस ऑब्जेक्टिवली एनालाइज विद ओपन हार्ट एंड ओपन माइंड कि जो कुछ हुआ अच्छा हुआ, द्रौपदी का चीरहरण हुआ अच्छा हुआ, कोई उसमें कोई गलत बात नहीं है। पांडवों से आपका पूरा राज्य छीन लिया, वो अच्छा हुआ, जो होगा अच्छा होगा। दुर्योधन जो भी जिस भी प्रकार की आप पे एग्रेशन करेगा वो अच्छा ही है। So this is not the philosophy of the Gita. In fact, Krishna is telling that if you don't act as per my instruction, then you will be doomed. Whereas if you act based on my advice, then mat prasadat tarishyasi. You will be able to overcome all kinds of obstacles if you act in one particular way. But if you choose to act whimsically, then you are doomed. Huh? Na shroshasi vinangshasi. In the 18th chapter, Krishna says that if you don't act based on the instruction of the Gita, then there's no hope for you. So Gita doesn't say that, oh, whatever happens is for good. No, whatever happens may not be good, but something good can come out of it if we choose to follow the instructions of the Gita. Yes. So let us see what is the exact message of the Gita. कुछ लोग बोलते हैं कि बस कर्म किए जाओ. Work is worship is the message of the Gita. Work is worship is the essence of the Gita. ये गीता का सार है. भाई work is worship is the essence. तब तो फिर the terrorists जिनका काम है like to create terror and to kill innocent people, they think that it is really worship. But that kind of work cannot be worship. So any work cannot qualify as worship, first of all. Any whimsical work cannot be qualified as a medium for expressing your worship. Your work should be as per the scriptural injunction. Krishna says that swabhava jena kaunteya, that as per your swabhava, guna karma vibhagasha, you have been prescribed certain duties as per the scriptural injunction. So if you engage in your duties, and that too offering the fruits of that work to Krishna, then that work can become a medium for worship. Then work becomes a medium for worship, but work doesn't become God in itself कि भाई आप केवल कुछ भी काम करते रहो और without actually having any devotion to God. So work as worship can be offered to God. The fruits of work can be offered to God with devotion, and then it becomes worship. So there are many misconceptions which have been there, but let us today try to understand what is the exact essence of the Bhagavad Gita. So are you able to see the screen here? Yes. Okay, so if Bhagavad Gita is like this treasure box, there's a lot of treasure inside, but it has been closed for us. So if we open this treasure box, we will see what is there inside the treasure box. So if you open a treasure box, तो उसमें क्या होता है? Treasure box का एक lid होता है. This is the lid of the treasure box. Then उस treasure box का एक base होता है, and उस treasure box में there is some treasure which is kept inside. Yes, this is how a treasure box is designed. Is it not? So Bhagavad Gita is like a treasure box, and Vishwanath Chakri Thakur, he says the first 6 chapter, the Karma Yoga part of the Gita, is like the lid of this Bhagavad Gita. भगवद गीता को हम किससे कंपेयर करें? ट्रेजर बॉक्स से. तो उसका पहला 6 चैप्टर्स क्या है? इज अ लिड ऑफ द ट्रेजर बॉक्स. सो फर्स्ट 6 चैप्टर ओपन अप द मैसेज ऑफ द गीता फॉर यू. जब तक तुम पहले 6 चैप्टर पढ़ोगे नहीं तो यू वोंट बी एबल टू गेट द नुआंसेस, जैसे बॉडी सोल डिस्टिंक्शन एक्सेट्रा. if you don't open that lid, then we won't be able to access the deeper subject matters in the Gita. Then the base of the Bhagavad Gita, so the first 6 chapters is the Karma Yoga, where Krishna is basically saying live responsibly. So living responsibly in this world is the first message of the Gita, but it is not the main message of the Gita. Yes, you have to live responsibly. Third chapter, Krishna is telling Arjun that what is that? You cannot live in this world without doing any sort of work. Everyone must do some work. So that is a message of the Gita, that you cannot avoid karma. You have to live responsibly, act responsibly in this world based on your occupational duties. आपके जो duties है, responsibilities है, you have to fulfill those duties and responsibilities. That is Krishna's message in the Gita, definitely. And how do you do that work? Nishkama karma yoga, where you don't do that work for self-aggrandizement or pumping up your ego, but you do that work as a duty. So living responsibly and dutifully is one of the messages of the Gita. Another message of the Gita, the Jnana Yoga, the last 6 chapters, the message here is that while you live in this world responsibly, you also need to let go effortlessly. Many times when you take responsibility and ownership of something, you end up becoming very attached to it. Ki in your home, in your office, you can see people who are very responsible, but then they are very very particular and sometimes obsessed कि ये काम ऐसे ही करना है, ये काम ऐसे ही करना है, इसी समय करना है, इस तरीके से करना है. So then if you are responsible, oftentimes it is coupled with a sense of controllership and you are not able to let go. But Krishna is saying live responsibly but with the spirit of renunciation so that you can let go effortlessly. Yes, so living responsibly in this world and letting go effortlessly, that's when you can leave this world with a smile. People come to this world crying, people go from this world crying because of attachment, right? But then when you follow the philosophy of the Gita, you can let go effortlessly and leave this world smilingly, right? So this is the middle, the last 6 chapters of the Gita. But what is the middle 6 chapters? What is the essence of the Gita, which is there in the middle 6 chapters? Krishna is saying Bhakti Yoga, which is love selflessly. So all through the Bhakti Yoga, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yo Me Bhaktya Prayachati Tasmat Bhakti Upratam Ashnami Prayata Atman. That भक्ति से जो कोई भी मुझे कुछ भी पत्र पुष्प फल अर्पण करता है, I accept it with lot of love. So this love is what is the samam bonam and the highest thing in the Gita. Man mana bhavam mad bhakto mad yaji mam spuru mamesh veshi satyam de pratijani priyosi me. So Krishna is reiterating that we are all children of God and the purpose of life is to reawaken that love for him. The 7th chapter begins with Mai asakta mana partha yogam yanjan madasya. कि हे अर्जुन मुझसे आसक्त हो, मेरे से प्रेम करो, मुझसे आसक्त हो. इस जगत से विरक्ति लेकिन भगवान से आसक्ति उत्पन्न करना, that is the message of the Gita, right? So if someone asks you कि भाई गीता आप बहुत क्लासेस जाते हैं, गीता के फैन हैं, गीता पढ़ते हैं, गीता के बारे में बोलते हैं, बट what is in sum and substance, एसेंस क्या है, गीता का सार क्या है, तो आप क्या बोलेंगे? What will you share? Simple. There are just 3 things. If you can remember these 3 things, live responsibly. Krishna is telling Arjun to live responsibly, do his duty, right? And then leave or let go effortlessly. He's asking Arjun to let go of his attachment, the material attachment, and living responsibly and letting go effortlessly for the highest purpose of loving selflessly. Because unless you are responsible and unless you are detached, you cannot love selflessly. If you are attached to your own ego or your own possessions and your own, likes and dislikes, you cannot love selflessly. And if you are irresponsible, then also you cannot love selflessly. तो अगर आपको selfless प्रेम develop करना है, which is the purpose of life, our whole being, the purpose of our existence is to love and be loved, to develop those finer emotions of devotion, to develop those finer sentiments of love for God and love for all of his children. So we are coming back to that emotions, right? So the purpose of life जो हमारा को ये पूरा जो मानव शरीर मिला है, this wonderful intelligence in the mind that we have received, the whole purpose is to develop refined emotions by which we can love God, by which we can be selfless and express that devotion and love for God. And to be able to do that, we need to be responsible in our life, and we should be detached and be able to let go effortlessly. So this is living responsibly, letting go effortlessly, and loving selflessly. So these are the 3 key messages of the Gita. Make sense? Yes, if so, type S in the chat box. If you find it something interesting and fascinating, please type S, makes sense. in the chat box. Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's quite encouraging. Let's go a little further. So while we see these key messages of the Gita, but what are the key concepts? कि तो गीता की philosophy है, if it is compared to a building, तो वो building की इमारत कौन से ईंट पत्थर से बना है? Right? What are the building blocks of the philosophy of the Gita? So Baladev Vidyabhushan. So we discussed the essence of the Gita from the lens of Vishwanath Chakri Thakur, who is a 17th century saint who lived in Vrindavan. So he said that the Bhagavad Gita can be divided in, is like a jewel box. The first 6 chapters, the Nishkam Karma Yoga, the last 6 chapters, the Jnana Yoga, and the middle 6 chapters, the Bhakti Yoga. So there we took the essence of the Gita. His disciple Baladev Vidyabhushan, he speaks about the 5 building blocks of Gita's philosophy. So क्या main concept बताए हैं? जैसे if you have to understand physics, मतलब physics किन concept से बना है? Right? There are certain major concepts. The Newton's laws of motion, that is a concept of physics. Then the laws of optics, laws of magnetism. So these are certain laws, certain concepts which form the foundation, the backbone of physics. Yes. So similarly, what are the foundational concepts which make the backbone of the Bhagavad Gita? So Baladev Vidyabhushan speaks about these 5 building blocks of Gita's philosophy, and if you haven't, even if you have heard about it, it's my challenge to you. What you are going to listen to now is mind blowing, is something which you'll be able to relate it so well from our day-to-day lives. So please, be patient and let's see. You'll find something very revealing through this description of these 5 building blocks of Gita's philosophy. So, how many of you, like to see movies and dramas? Yeah, you can raise your hands in the React. Okay, Pooja ji, yes. Leela Madhuri, Ishwar ji. We are fond of movies, so in the chat box you can probably type which movie has been one of your favorite movies, which has really been an unforgettable. You have seen that movie maybe 5, 10, 20 times. Okay, Bhagwan, Three Idiots. Well, there must be many, but then you are shy to share on a Gita class. Okay, but something about the movies is so fascinating that the whole world is crazy after movies and the movie stars. Is it not? The movie industry is a billion-trillion-dollar industry. Now, what makes movies so fascinating, so much popular, is the concept that it churns your emotions. It has a certain plot inside it, which has a lot of uncertainty. What happens? What will happen? Things are, you are just on the edge of your seat. कि आगे क्या होगा? Next scene में क्या होगा? Right? So आप एक मूवी को देखने जाते हो, उसमें इतना एक्साइटमेंट है, उसमें इतना फैसिनेशन है, because of its uncertainty, because of its back and forth plot. There are twists and turns, right? But Gita's philosophy, if I tell you, is also the building blocks are a movie plot. How much more interesting Bhagavad Gita could become? Yes, if we presented Bhagavad Gita to you as a movie plot, तो आपको गीता याद रखने के लिए कठिनाई होगी, यू विल बी एबल टू इजीली रिमेम्बर, क्योंकि मूवी के डायलॉग स्टूडेंट्स फॉर्मूलाज भूल जाएंगे लेकिन मूवी के डायलॉग नहीं भूलते, राइट? सो भगवद गीता philosophy has a movie plot. Let's see how. The 5 topics of Gita is life a movie with a difference. Yes. So सबको मूवीज अच्छा लगता है, तो भाई भगवान ने भी हमें भगवद गीता की फिलॉसफी में एक मूवी, लाइफ को एक मूवी के एग्जाम्पल से हम समझ सकते हैं. यू नो, इफ यू हैव अ मूवी, you must have first of all a director, say Oscar award winning movie, right? So there must be a director. So who is the director behind this movie of this entire world, our life, the lives of so many people, the lives of the entire creation? इसके पीछे डायरेक्टर कौन है? जो कुछ हो रहा है इस जगत में, राइट, उसके पीछे कोई तो डायरेक्टर होगा. हमारा all our lives are very uncertain, all our lives are full of twists and turns. You think that this is how I am planning and this is how I will reach my destination in 5 years from now, but something in between happens and all of your plans are shattered. You are taken for a, complete, your plans go for a toss, right? So वो twists and turns कौन orchestrate करता है? The director. So this world is full of twists and turns. We plan certain things, but then COVID strikes and the entire world comes to a standstill. So who was the one who directed this entire plot? With the best of scientific minds, medical minds, research minds, how COVID came, no one has got a clue. How COVID disappeared, no one has got a clue. तो वो डायरेक्टर कौन है? That director is Ishvara Parama Krishna. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dhyakshen Prakriti Suyate Sacharachara. मेरी अध्यक्षता में, मेरे डायरेक्शन में, ये प्रकृति में सूयते सचराचर, the living and non-moving beings in this existence are going through their emotions in under my direction. Sorry, I'll share the screen. Thank you. Okay, so you see here, make sense ना? हमारा लाइफ इज फुल ऑफ ट्विस्ट एंड टर्न्स. हम जो प्लान किए थे, वैसे मैं आपके सामने बैठा हूँ in a monk's attire as a monk for last 15 years. Did I plan to become a monk? No. And आपके मेरे सबके लाइफ में हम, what happened to us wasn't necessarily what we planned. So there were many twists and turns. So who is the director behind this movie? Is Maya Dhakshena Prakriti. Krishna says, under my direction is this world going through its motions. Okay, well, जब director है, तो for a movie you need a director. What else do we need? Can we get the chat box to become active? एक मूवी बनाने के लिए और क्या लगता है? Actors. What else? Producers. Okay, producer, director कृष्ण ही है, भगवान ही है. Because he says, भूमि आपो अनलो वायु खम मनो बुद्धि रेव च अहंकार इत्यम में भिन्ना प्रकृति अष्टधा, कि प्रोड्यूसर भी वही है. Sounds and light system, screenplay, okay. There's something missing, definitely dialogues. So dialogues, screenplay, script, choreography, okay. Studio, you are getting closer. Cameraman, okay. Set, Chaitanya Bhakti, Mataji, Hare Krishna, wonderful. Wonderful. So you need a movie set. अगर शूटिंग करनी है तो कहाँ करनी है आपको शूटिंग? Whether you have to do the shooting in, say, Switzerland or maybe in some ghettos, कहाँ पे शूटिंग करनी है? So that movie set is important. Well, And then the movie set is important, the actors and actresses are important. Then you need a script, a screenplay, dialogues, right? Uh, all of those things are needed. So Ishwar is the director, and the movie set is the Prakriti. So Krishna says, I have created this entire universe, Bhumi Apo Analo Vayu Khan Mano Buddhi Revacha, as a movie set. The entire Bhumi, the earth, all the planets, Gam Avishya Bhutana. So Krishna says in the 15th chapter that, uh, you know, through me, all of these variegated facilities in this creation, where the vegetables are nourished by the moonlight, moon's light, and the sunlight is nourishing, and so many things that we are receiving. The entire set is this material world. The entire material world is the movie set, the film set, where this movie is being shot. And the thing is, the you have to sign up actors and actresses. Now, who are the actors and actresses in this movie? Can someone guess? Actors, actresses कौन है? All of us, spot on. आप और हमें रोल मिला है, मतलब हम लोग सोच रहे हैं कि मुझे भी शायद ब्रेक मिल जाता तो, but we have already got a break in this material world, so we have got a role. We have got a role, and we are the hero in our own life. हमें ऐसे ही लगता है ना, I am the hero, right? So actors and actresses means all of us, the jivas, the living entities in this material world. We are the actors. Next thing is, आपने एक चीज मिस किया. All of you missed one thing. जब when the typically when a director starts shooting, so what is the one line the director always says? I am giving a clue. He does it. Clap. But there is a certain phrase they say. Lights, camera, action. Right? That's how the movie begins. So, and then there is this clap which is called a clapper board. वो clapper board करके डायरेक्टर कट करता है, तब जाके वो डायलॉग बोलना शुरू करता है. Is it not? So what is this clapper board? Clapper board is the Kala Shakti of the Lord. Krishna says in the Gita that this Kalosmi Lokakshaya Pravriddho. Time I am. In the form of time, I destroy everything in the three worlds. Brahma Bhuna Loka Punar Avirtino Jana. That in this world, people based on their, the births and deaths, they will go up and down. Right? They may go to the Brahma Loka or Indra Loka, and then they may go down to Patal Loka. So आप कौन से सेट में जाके आपका शूटिंग कब होगा, that is determined by the clapper board of time. Lights, camera, action, and out comes the baby from the womb. And what is the first action that all of us actors have done after coming to this world? To cry. Is it not? तो हमारा first scene जो था, सोचो, visualize yourself as a actor. और आपको जो पहला ब्रेक मिला और पहला जो सीन मिला, आपको डायरेक्टर ने क्या दिया? रोने का सीन दिया. इसके लिए भगवान ने इस जगत को क्या नाम दिया है? दुखालयम अशाश्वतम. इस जगत में अगर आप आओगे तो यहाँ पे सब एक्टर्स को क्या करना है? रोना धोना ही करना है. Right? So this is how the first shot that you take in this world is to cry. But then if you learn the Gita philosophy, then you may come crying, but then you can leave smiling by leaving this world effortlessly and smilingly. Right? So the Kala Shakti is like the clapper board which puts things in motion. Right? Kala, time puts everything in motion, and क्लैपर बोर्ड इज नॉट जस्ट जब आपका बर्थ होता है तब टाइम स्टार्ट होता है. एवरी डे मॉर्निंग व्हेन द सन राइजेस इज एन अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर यू टू डू समथिंग डिफरेंट, is do something which can change the course of your life's direction. Hmm? And that's where comes the final thing, the fifth thing in the life, a movie with a difference. मैं क्यों बोल रहा हूँ मूवी विद अ डिफरेंस, क्योंकि हर मूवी में जो स्क्रिप्ट होता है वो पहले लिखा होता है. एक्टर्स और एक्ट्रेसेस वो स्क्रिप्ट को याद करते हैं और फिर परफेक्टली विद इमोशंस वो स्क्रिप्ट को दोहराते हैं, राइट. बट ये लाइफ इज अ मूवी विद अ डिफरेंस बिकॉज यहाँ पे there is some script, some swabhav that we are born with, but then there is something which we can do spontaneously. Hmm? We may have been born with a certain swabhav of being very short tempered. We may be born with a swabhav which is very timid and fearful. We may be born with a swabhav of being very irritable and cynical, negative. वो आपका स्क्रिप्ट होगा इधर, लेकिन आप वो स्क्रिप्ट को बदल सकते हो. आप ऑन द स्पॉट सेट के ऊपर नए डायलॉग बोल सकते हो एंड द डायरेक्टर विल एक्सेप्ट इट. यस, एंड दिस स्क्रिप्ट इज कॉल्ड कर्मा. द स्क्रिप्ट एंड रील इज द कर्मा. तो आप अपने पुराने पिछले कर्मों से, बेस्ड ऑन योर पास्ट कर्मा, वी हैव ब्रॉट सर्टेन स्वभाव, but based on our choices today we can change that swabhav. We may be born as a villain. मूवी में अगर कोई विलन होता है तो विलन का रोल ही करता है. फ्रॉम देयर फर्स्ट मूवी टू द लास्ट मूवी देयर इमेज बिकम्स लाइक अ विलन. राजकुमार विलन, राइट. समवन बिकम्स अ कॉमेडियन, दे रिमेन, दे एंड अप जॉनी लीवर. पहली फिल्म से लास्ट फिल्म कॉमेडियन ही रहेगा, वो हीरो नहीं बन सकता है. बट इन दिस वर्ल्ड इवन इफ यू आर born as a villain you can become the main hero. If even if you are born as a comedian you can become the main hero, star cast. And if you are born as a hero you can slide down to become a villain based on your choices in this world, your behavior and actions in this world. And therefore Bhagavad Gita speaks about these five concepts. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, who is a 17th 18th century saint, he says that Bhagavad Gita speaks about these five major philosophical concepts: Ishwar, Prakriti, Jeev, Kal, and Karma, which produce the entire movie of our life. कि हमारे जीवन में क्या हो रहा है. मेनी टाइम्स वी डोंट हैव पर्सपेक्टिव, वी डोंट हैव ओरिएंटेशन कि क्या हो रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है, व्हाई डू बैड थिंग्स हैपन टू गुड पीपल, व्हाई इज देयर सो मच ऑफ स्ट्राइफ इन दिस वर्ल्ड, व्हाई इज देयर डेथ इन दिस वर्ल्ड, व्हाई इज देयर डिजीज इन दिस वर्ल्ड. So there we have so many questions. Why? But you will get the answers when you understand this principle that life is a movie. It's a reality शो, रियलिटी टीवी शो, एंड रियलिटी में हम एक्टिंग कर रहे हैं, राइट. सो वी ऑल आर एक्टर्स एंड एक्ट्रेसेस. वी have been born with a certain swabhav, which means we have been born with a certain script, right. We have a certain nature, we have a certain lower nature, but we can overcome that lower nature if we choose to act based on the philosophy and the principles of the Bhagavad Gita, if we choose to act based on the directions of the Ishwar instead of our own whimsical scripts, right, of the past lives. So this is in essence the whole philosophical framework of the Gita. How many of you found it very interesting and fascinating? Type I for interesting in the chat box. Okay, wonderful. Thanks for listening to this. Okay, now since we are a few of us, I would invite you to ponder upon this. Given that this life is a movie with a difference, so how can you see your life differently from now on with this knowledge? आपने बोला सही है, ये fascinating है, interesting है, but with this perspective, with this lens, हाँ, how can you gain? How can you see your life differently? How can you take advantage of this knowledge? How can you, you know, profit from this knowledge? You can unmute or speak, or you can type in the chat box, and there are very interesting insights that you can get from this. ये जो example है life movie with a difference, इससे आपकी life बदल सकती है. So Leela Madhuri Prabhu, we have a choice of how to act. Okay, nice. Change the script that we are born with. Yes, again, the same thing that we have the power of choice. Transforming ourselves yet again. Okay, this is something which is a main theme, major theme. But then there are other things that, okay, yes, there's a director above us, and if we act according to the director, this wise, directions and script, then we can get promoted. Now, Dr. Tripti has given a very, very insightful thing, not being attached. जब आप किसी मूवी को देखने जाते हो, while watching that movie, you may, be, you may be triggered with certain emotions, instantaneously. But then, do you take that seriously? आप मूवी के बाहर आते हो, ऐसा नहीं कि 4 दिन तक रो रहे हैं कि नहीं वो हीरो एंड में अमिताभ बच्चन डाइज एट द एंड, आनंद मूवी में, तो वो क्या लेके आप पूरा जिंदगी रोते रहते हो क्या? वेल, दैट इज अ मूवी. So you look at a movie playfully. You look at a movie ki chalo, with a light heart. You don't take things too seriously. So when you know that life is a movie with a difference, you don't get stuck with, or you don't get caught up with, कि अरे ऐसा क्यों हो गया, वैसा क्यों हो गया. Okay, मूवी के प्लॉट में कहीं से भी ट्विस्ट एंड टर्न्स आते हैं, and then you go with the flow. You don't get stuck with things. In this world, the problem is that we get stuck up with things. इसने ऐसा क्यों किया, वो मुझे छोड़ के क्यों चले गए, या फिर ये रिसेशन क्यों आया, या फिर ये मेरा बॉस ऐसा क्यों है. अरे भाई, वो अपना एक्टिंग कर रहा है, उसको अपना एक्टिंग करने दो, तुम अपना एक्टिंग करो ना. तुम जाके किसी और एक्टर का स्क्रिप्ट चेंज करते हो क्या? कि नहीं तू मत बोल. You can't change anyone other actor's script. All you can do is to change your script, right? So we can make life playful, fun filled, if we see life as a movie. कि भाई मूवी हो रहा है, मैं एक्टर हूँ, कैमरामैन कौन है, भगवान है, वो देख रहे हैं, right? When you are acting in a movie, you know that people are going to see. So Krishna is the cameraman who is capturing everything, whatever we are doing. So if we are conscious of the things that we do and say, we will become much more, uh, you know, nuanced and careful and cautious, right? So yes, thank you, Triptiji, bringing about this point of not being too attached. And Sonalji is saying, I am not the only player. There are many factors like Prakriti, Ishwar, Kal. Oh, wonderful. This is another beautiful thing. That कि भाई सब कुछ मेरे ऊपर निर्भर नहीं है. I am not the center of the stage. There are many actors. हमें क्या लगता है, I am the main actor, I am the main star cast. ये पूरी दुनिया मुझे ही देखने आई है. Right? That's how we look at the world. That I am the center of everyone's attention, but that's not the case, right? This is a vast cosmic movie. This is a vast cosmic movie. It is being shot at a cosmic scale, and I am just as a speck on this cosmic scale. When you realize that, you know that let me mind my own business. Let me not think that I am the center of attention for everyone. And that reduces the burden from you, that reduces the expectations that you have from yourself. कि मुझे क्या करना चाहिए, ये अचीव करना है, वो अचीव करना है. भाई, you are not capable of everything that you desire. Give God a chance. Director को chance दो थोड़ा, right? Don't take the whole burden of the movie on yourself as the actor. Yeah. So accountable. Being accountable, yes, being accountable to what we do, because our choices make a difference, and this is such a beautiful concept in the Gita, that your choices are having consequences. ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ भी करो, यू नो, जो होना है वही होगा, डेस्टिनी है वैसा ही होगा, नहीं. You can change your destiny by your decisions. You can influence your destiny by your decisions, by your choices, by your actions. And therefore, Gita is a book which empowers you. Gita is a book uh, which gives the power in your hands. कि भाई तुम्हारे लाइफ का रिमोट कंट्रोल तुम्हारे हाथ में थमा दिया है. ऐसा मत सोचो कि डेस्टिनी से आपका लाइफ डिटरमाइन होगा. So if we choose to act based on the script, if we choose to act based on the roadmap given by Krishna, we can progressively move ahead in life, materially and spiritually. So that is being accountable. And who is the hero? We think we are the main hero, but we are just actors. The real hero is Krishna. At the end of the day, who has a last laugh? Krishna has a last laugh. So the real hero of this universe is um, Ananta Koti Brahmand Nayak. There's a word used by Rupa Goswami for Krishna. Ananta Koti Brahmand Nayak. For the millions of universes, who is the main hero? That is Krishna. So these are certain things. You see, just with this analogy of life movie with a difference. First of all, the whole world, you can get a perspective out of it. Like ऐसा नहीं है कि everything is meaningless, कि भाई the world doesn't make sense. If you go by modern science, they will say that the world came from a big bang and big bang came from nothing. So if after doing so much of research and putting in billions and trillions of dollars into research, if you come up with the conclusion that everything comes from nothing, then probably you sat doing nothing, right, and wasted our billions and trillions of dollars. Whereas Bhagavad Gita, it puts everything in perspective, कि सब कुछ आपको एक क्लैरिटी मिल जाता है कि भाई क्यों चीजें हो रही है, मेरे डिसीजंस की वजह से, मेरे एक्शंस की वजह से, मेरे पास्ट एक्शंस की वजह से. देयर इज सर्टेन स्क्रिप्ट व्हिच आई एम ब्रिंगिंग because of my past actions. I have been put in certain environment, in certain situation, and I can change my environment and situation and my destiny based on my choices now. And there's a supreme director of this movie, right? And I am not the only actor, there are others also involved. So you get a perspective to life, right? So these are some things that we learn uh, from the Gita. And before we open up for questions, let me share a couple of more slides with you, if you are okay. Okay, so this is what we saw, live movie with a difference. And so there's another way of looking at it, is Ishwar, Jeev and Prakriti. These are the active principles of this, who are alive, Ishwar, Jeev, Prakriti. And then Ishwar controls Prakriti with the Kala Shakti. Jiva and Prakriti have a relation through karma. What we do in this world, right, is karma. And the Jiva gets connected to Ishwar through yoga. So Bhagavad Gita is basically the interplay of Jiva, Ishwar and Prakriti through Kala, Karma and Yoga. Yeah. So this is the twin triangle framework of the Gita. And as you keep on reading the Bhagavad Gita, your understanding of this philosophy will become more and more refined. And जैसे आप किसी ophthalmologist के पास जाते हो, you go to an eye doctor. So I see many of you have spectacles. So when we go to an eye doctor, what happens is they will put a lens and ask, "Abhi kya dikh raha hai?" You see A, S, D, F, G, H है या M है. Yes, then he puts another lens. Then you see A, S, D, F, G, H, K, L, M, M है या N है. You are still unable to read. Then he puts another lens. So as you go through the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna keeps on putting higher and higher lenses by which you can develop more and more clarity. And what happens toward the end? Arjuna gets 6 by 6 vision. What's that 6 by 6 vision? Nashta moho smritir labdhva. Nashta moho, my illusion has vanished, and smritir labdhva, I have regained my vision. Right? So that is what happens when you read the Gita, because it changes your identity. It gives you the right identity. It sets up the right impetus or motivation. I stands for the I, and I also stands for the letter I. So I for identity and I for impetus, they change for you, and ultimately you develop the right vision or pathway कि मुझे जाना कैसे है जीवन में आगे. So that pathway, you will get clarity of what paths to take, what decisions to make in life. When you get a clarity of your identity, when Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjun that Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara, you are not the body, you are the spirit soul. Krishna changes his identity. Krishna says, Mamayo amsha jiva loke. All of the living entities are my amsha. Aham bija pradapita. Krishna changes our understanding of who we are and what is the connection to Bhagavad Gita, to the Supreme Lord. So Krishna changes our identity. Krishna changes our impetus or motivation of why we are living in this world. To a motivation of selfishly, enjoying the things of this world, to a motivation of being an instrument in Krishna's mission. As Krishna tells Arjuna that become an instrument in my mission, right? So we get a mission in Krishna's, whole mission. So that's how our impetus or motivation changes. And this is the last slide that I'm sharing with all of you, which basically will conclude our discussion on how Bhagavad Gita, what is the philosophical framework of the Gita, and how it helps us see things clearly and in a better perspective, right? So these are the 6 parameters, 6 things that make up the philosophy of Gita, the Jiva. So what does it help us understand? So जैसे normal vision होता है और एक hyperopic and myopic vision होता है. मतलब हाइपरोपिक विजन में आपको दूर का दिखता है, पास का नहीं दिखता है, और मायोपिक में आपको पास का दिखता है, दूर का नहीं दिखता है. सो व्हेन यू अंडरस्टैंड द जीवा प्रिंसिपल, देन यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट you have an unchanging identity beyond all change, and you have the potential of being a change maker. Your choices have consequences. Your choices are not impotent. So first of all, our identity is that of a spirit soul कि बाहर कितना भी change होता रहे, Krishna says the soul cannot be burnt, it cannot be drenched, it cannot be dried up by any element of material nature. So the soul is unchanging, but it can be a greatest change maker if one follows the will of Krishna. And there is the Ishwar's principles हम समझते हैं कि there is a divine source of everything, and thus we can find meaning and order amidst the chaos all around us when we see a supreme director. The Prakriti principle teaches us that there is a inner programming, that we have been born with a particular स्वभाव, कोई script है हमारे अंदर, सत्व रज और तमोगुण के अनुसार. There is a script which is running inside of us, but then we can nurture and change that script based on the decisions that we make. So we have an inner programming, but we can program our surroundings. We can change the association. We can change the food that we eat, the people the environment that we live in, the time that we wake up in the morning. All of these environmental changes can change your inner programming, the kind of content that you consume, right? That can change your inner programming. Then kala, basically we can learn lessons from the past. From our past we can learn lessons. We can realize the value of time, and we can develop a vision for the future. Not just live life for the sake of it, but have a purpose for which we live. And the next thing is the karma, that there are certain motivation, and then based on that motivation there are certain actions, and there are choices and consequences. The karma principle is basically we have certain impulses inside of us based on which we act, but when we act in a certain way there will be certain consequences. So that is the karma principle which Gita teaches us, which makes us accountable. And then ultimately yoga principle, which teaches us how to develop this inner harmony. We are all talking about emotional intelligence. How do we uh, take charge of our emotional world, how to not give into volatile emotions, how to develop that inner peace and harmony. So when we live a life of yoga, samatvam yoga muchyate, will be living in harmony with the inner world and harmony with the outer world. So these are certain principles that we can derive from the Bhagavad Gita's. So these are 6 parameters, right? So this is a 6x6 vision that you can derive, that you are changeless, the jiva is unchanging, but it can be a change maker. The spirit soul is unchanging. आपके situation surrounding में कितना भी कुछ change होने दो, you are unchangeable. Nothing can take away your true essence from you. And Ishwar principle teaches us there's a divine source of everything, and thus you'll be able to find meaning amid all chaos. And then Prakriti principle teaches us there's inner programming based on our past script and swabhav, but we can change that programming based on how do we associate and live in the outer world. We can reprogram ourselves, our habits, and our lifestyle. And the Kala principle teaches us the value of time. We can learn lessons from the mistakes of the past, and then develop a vision for our future. And the Karma principle teaches us that based on our script and impulses, we may do some certain actions, but then those actions will lead to certain consequences. And Krishna speaks about the consequences of Sattva Raja Tama in the 14th, 17th and 18th chapter. कि सत्व गुण में जो लोग कार्य करते हैं विषम एवं परिणामे अमृतोपमा, दैट जो सत्वगुण में काम करते हैं शुरुआत में विष जैसा लगता है लेकिन बाद में अमृत समान हो जाता है. जो रजोगुण में कार्य करते हैं वो शुरुआत में अमृत जैसा लगता है उनको, all of those passionate things, but ultimately their life becomes poisonous and toxic. So choices and consequences, the karma principle, and then the yoga principle, which teaches us how to live in harmony with ourselves, with the inner world and the outer world. So these are the 6 principles and 6x6 vision. So basically today's discussion, what we wanted to do was to give you a snapshot, a bird's eye view of the Bhagavad Gita's main philosophical precepts and concepts that we did through this Jiva, Ishwar, Prakriti, Kala, Karma and Yoga. So these are the 6 main concepts discussed in the Gita. If anyone asks you what are the concepts spoken of in the Gita, these are the 6 concepts throughout the Gita you will get. And what is the essence of the Gita? I'm sure you will be able to remember this simple sutras: live responsibly, Nishkam Karma Yoga; let go effortlessly, Jnana Yoga; and love selflessly, love God selflessly, Bhakti Yoga. So these are the concepts, and this is the essence of the Gita. And with this movie framework, life becomes playful and fun. Life becomes meaningful and playful. So best wishes for the journey of reading the Bhagavad Gita, and you are invited to join us for this journey where, the first session yesterday we discussed about the emotions and the need in the 21st century of really taking charge of the volatile emotions. And today we discussed about the Bhagavad Gita and the context of the Gita and the message of the Gita. So these are the 2 introductory sessions that we took, and from the next week, Saturday, Sunday onwards, those who sign up for the course, I think 16, 17 of you have already signed up for the course, and we are having 25 spots. So 8 more can join in. So if you are fortunate, please do join us, and we'll take you through this journey of emotional well-being, emotional fulfillment through the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. any questions, reflections? If you have any questions about how to get into the course or things like that, that also you can ask. Or any reflections about the thing that we discussed, you can also unmute yourself and speak. Yes, Tanya ji, you can unmute and speak.
Like you explained about that we are not the center, so we should not take the burden, but in case we do some activity out of complacency or whatever, but when due to that others are affected, that are like that again, that those who we look up to, when they are affected, so how should we look for that? Like from what you explained, I realized that instead of thinking that in a getting into a vicious cycle, we should try to change our action, so that maybe due to that those who say we have hurt, we have disappointed, maybe they'll feel better, like that.
So, if I understood you correctly, basically, there are two extremes. One is we own the entire burden of responsibility on our head. कि भाई, we guiltify ourselves कि मुझे करना चाहिए, and this has to happen, and I have to do it, and I have to be the change the world needs. So we own up so much burden on ourselves, and we feel that मैं नहीं करूँगा तो कुछ नहीं होगा. And so that is one extreme. Another extreme is we become complacent and irresponsible. कि भाई ऐसे भी मेरे करने से कुछ होता नहीं है, तो क्या फायदा, right? So either we become irresponsible or we become over responsible. But Bhagavad Gita teaches nishkam karma yoga, where कर्मण्य एव अधिकारस्थे मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफल हेतुभु माते संगो अस्तो अकर्मणि. So Krishna says our relationship with work is many times misunderstood. Well, the first thing is we think that if I'm doing something, it is my right to get the result. Krishna says no, you have right over the work but not over the results. तो अगर आपको कोई कहता है कि you have the right over the work but not the result, the next thing you say is मैं काम ही क्यों करूं, जब रिजल्ट ही नहीं मिलेगा तो मैं काम क्यों करूं. बट देन कृष्णा सेज माँ कर्म फल हेतु भीर माते संगो अस्तु अकर्मणि. You cannot be you cannot take the position of being not a doer or giving up your work. So Krishna is saying you have to be responsible for your work but not for the results. We become so stressed because we own responsibility for the results instead of owning responsibility for the work. तो भगवान बोल रहे हैं भाई मुझे मेरा काम करने दो, तुम अपना काम करो. रिजल्ट देने का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किसका है? भगवान बोले मेरा है. वो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी तुम अपने हाथ में उठा लोगे, सर पे उठा लोगे तो बर्डन लगेगा. So better you take only your responsibility, which is the responsibility of doing the work, and leave the responsibility of results on Krishna, on God, right? And then there will be, we can be, more free and more focus on what we can do on our circle of influence rather than the circle of concern. So Tanya, does this address what you had asked? Somehow, I could not gather fully, but if I have been able to address what you
Yes,
said.
sir. Yes, sir. It addressed in the sense that we should focus on our activity, even if we say for a student, if say for example, for by not getting good marks, say a student has disappointed his or teacher. So instead of thinking that I have disappointed my teacher, we should use that energy in doing something good again and getting trust of teacher back, something like that.
Yeah. So be taking responsibility of the work and being playful. जैसा a movie is produced for fun, right? ताकि लोग को entertainment हो, right? So similarly, when you look at life in this playful spirit, let me try my best and let's see क्या होता है. Then we embrace uncertainty, then we embrace reversals rather than becoming completely like dead end हो गया कि अभी reversal आ गया, so अभी there's the end of everything. No, take reversals in life as a playful thing कि चलो फिर से ट्राई करेंगे, ऐसे नहीं तो वैसे ट्राई करेंगे, ऐसे भी रिजल्ट तो अपने हाथ में है नहीं, अपने हाथ में तो आवर ड्यूटी है. Let me be a good actor. How much the audience will clap, let us leave it to the audience. So that is what a good actor does. He or she invests themselves fully in their acting. So as good actors, if we do our duties well, then we should be very happy and also successful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, Leela Madhuri Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the nice presentation. The slides were really superb. They were made very nicely. I wanted to ask, from whatever I have heard, from many yoga teachers, especially the Ashtanga yoga line, they ascribe emotions to chakras and endocrine glands in the body like that. So, so as we are going forward with the emotional intelligence course, uh, do you cover that aspect of the emotional intelligence also, like how to manage? Like it may be possible that someone, say for example, the root chakra may be very disturbed, so one basically feels insecure all the time because of that. So, are we addressing that also, or such kind of people may have a lot of fear and insecurity and doubting everything. So, okay, Bhagavad Gita gives certain things. Will
So
those
Leela
things?
Madhuri Prabhu, I have basically gathered the question that you have asked, and it's a very nice question. So we are a combination of three things. The 7th chapter, Krishna says that aparayam itastu anyam prakriti vidhi me param. So there is the gross matter, which is bhumi, apo, analo, vayu. The gross matter, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Then there is the subtle matter, which is man, buddhi, ahankar. So what we call as these chakras, they are part of the subtle body. Because the interface of the subtle body with the gross body is basically through these energy chakras. Because mind and intelligence, they are subtle energies, and these subtle energies, their manifestation is through this chakras, like energy centers or the chakras. So now the modern neuroscience, like neurology scientists, they will say that all your emotions are experienced in the brain. The root of all your emotions is the brain. Now, do you agree, Leela Madhuri Prabhu, if I say the root of your emotions is the brain, just some chemical which is secreting, and you will feel happy or sad, good or bad, fearful or excited just because some adrenaline or dopamine or some other chemicals are being secreted, so you are feeling happy or sad because of serotonin, melatonin, or other chemicals being secreted. They will create happiness and distress, fear, or if that were the case, then why don't we see happy chemicals? Has anyone seen any happy chemicals or sad chemicals or fearful chemicals? Chemicals don't have fear, they don't have happiness or sadness. So the finding those emotions in our basically these chemicals is basically foolishness, is ridiculous. The emotions are expressed in the body through these chemicals. There are neurotransmitters which are triggered by certain emotions that you experience, but these neurotransmitters, they are not cause of experience of those emotions. तो वो एक्सपीरियंस है इमोशन का, फियर का, वो कहाँ पे आ रहा है? वो आपके, is it coming in the through the chakras? Your root chakra has a certain configuration, उसकी वजह से you are being fearful. So there is a nexus between the body, the mind, and the soul. If your body is programmed in a certain way, then your mind also, there's a psychosomatic kind of a nexus. So your body, if it is programmed in a certain way, your mind also reacts similarly. And if your mind is programmed in a certain way, the soul perceives reality like that. So actually the emotions are experienced not at the neurochemicals level, not at the level of the mind or the chakras. The emotions are actually experienced by the soul. And this is what we'll be discussing, that the emotions are experienced by the soul, but through the mirage of the mind, right? So the mind is like a mirror through which you are, kind of having a perverted reflection of your emotions, of your true emotions. So there are pure emotions available to the soul, but because the soul is perceiving life, perceiving reality through the mind of a inverted mirror of the river of the mind, which basically also manifests through chakras and all. So therefore you experience perverted emotions. You experience envy when someone progresses. You experience fear and insecurity if you don't do as well as others, right? So these are perverted emotions which are basically reflections of the real emotions, the purer emotions, right? So the actual emotions are experienced neither by the body nor by the mind, but by the soul. But because the body mind soul complex is so closely internet, that you mistake the body for the mind and you mistake the mind for the soul, right? The medical scientists or the conventional scientists, they have not gone so far deeper to be able to explore the mind and the chakras. But even those who explored the chakras, they also miss the point of the soul. And that is the Gita philosophy, which will take us through the covering of the body and the mind and the chakras to the real pure emotions of the soul. Make sense, Vilamadri too?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, what I understood is whatever the chakra, it is just a consequent emotion that is felt by the soul through the
The
mind.
expression of emotions.
Yeah,
The
right.
expression of those emotions is generated there, and from there it is transmitted, because the soul doesn't directly interface with the body. The soul interfaces with the body through the mind, right?
Right.
So something, if the soul is experiencing fear, that is first of all signaled to your mind and through the chakras. The chakras are connected to the spinal cord. The spinal cord is connected to the brain. So ultimately, the nervous system takes the signals from the chakras to the brain, and the brain then produces physiological, neurotransmitters, which then secrete hormones, which then spread through the bloodstream all over the body. And then when you are fearful, you are stressed, then your bodily has physiological changes. That's how the whole mechanism works.
Yeah. So,
So Leela Mother, we have 3 months to discuss this. We don't want to spoil the fun just right now.
okay. No, just one thing, because always this problem is there, the head and the heart. See,
Yes,
we
we
have
will discuss about the head and the heart.
like so much knowledge is there, what to do and all. But uh, the gap is always, at least in my case, I should say, head
So
and heart.
we'll help try to fill the gap. We are all work in progress. We'll together go ahead on this journey. So this course is not just about be speaking certain concepts and philosophies. It will be, as like those who have attended the previous course. It is a very, once you enter the course, then you will find that it's a very open, casual, conversations, question answers, by which we will go deeper into your personal challenges and see. So Dr. Tripti, you also had raised hand. Did you want to share something?
Yeah, Prabhuji, you have explained very nicely everything, and in fact, I have done Gita course before. But one thing that always keeps I mean, this thing comes to our mind that whenever we look at the world and there's so much atrocities and all, then we start questioning that why it is happening. We do not know and we can say that, okay, it is because of God. But should we ignore it? Should we take some effort to make it better? Or what should we do in that regard? That is my question. Because we cannot, I mean, should we leave everything that, okay, it has been designed that way? Or should we take some steps to make the world a better place?
Okay, so as we discussed that the soul is changeless, but it can be a change maker. So definitely Arjun was, was meant to be a change maker for the world, but that change starts from yourself. Be the change you want to see in the world. So once we change, our outlook change. When you change the way you look at things, and things you look at change. So when we change ourselves, then we develop the potency to actually start um, triggering change in the world. So definitely we are meant to be conscientious beings who are not just concerned about our own deliverance and our own mukti, but we are meant to be agents of God to bring about dharma, to bring about order in this chaotic world. So that responsibility does lie upon us. But then janma sarthak kari kara parupkar. First of all, we have to set our house in order. First, tighten your own seat belt before helping someone else. First of all, wear your own oxygen mask before helping someone else. So once our oxygen mask is on, our seat belt is tightened, then let us take the time out to help others too.
Ji, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So thank you so much. Thank you everyone, and you are all very cordially invited to join us for this journey. We'll be very happy to have you with us, and you can definitely contact Vinay ji, who has been posting messages on the groups. So for any queries that you have, and otherwise we have shared the link. I'll again share the link for joining the course with all of you right here. So looking forward for your participation, and this is the last master class, by the way. अभी इसके बाद में और कोई free master class नहीं होगा. Next week we'll be starting off with the course. So those who have joined will continue to get further links and of the video recordings, and the rest of the people on the group won't get that. So if you want to join in, please do so as soon as possible.
मास्टर के साथ अगला क्लास होगा ज्वाइनिंग के बाद ही.
हाँ, अगला क्लास अभी ज्वाइनिंग के बाद ही होगा.
मास्टर के साथ अगला क्लास होगा ज्वाइनिंग के बाद.
थैंक यू ईश्वर प्रभु. सो मच. हरे कृष्ण. श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. हरे कृष्ण. थैंक यू.